Hello everyone, welcome to the Maria Cozette Show where the left brain meets the right. Today I have a lovely guest. She's an entrepreneur and a fashion and beauty blogger, Kris Cherie. So stay with us for that great interview. And if you'd like more information about the show, you can always visit mariacozette.com/television. Stay with us. I'm here with a very beautiful guest today. I love having this type of positive energy on my set. I'm here with entrepreneur and fashion and beauty blogger, Christine Ajabayan. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. So many of the people watching know you as Kris Cherie,
Yes.
I should say, yeah. Where did, by the way, that come from?
Cherie, well, Christine, so it's just short. And then Cherie, I've just always been obsessed with French culture.
I love it.
So Cherie means darling, and I have family in France, so every time I would go back, I would always hear Cherie, Cherie, Cherie. So Cherie was just kind of something that it was like just like a pet, not a pet name, I guess.
But like a term of endearment.
Yeah,
type
it was
of thing.
like just like a social media handle that I would always use, and then I thought it would be cute to just kind of like name my blog.
It is super cute. I love it, and we match in our the Cozette and Cherie, so we're like perfect today. Okay, so we're gonna talk about all the wonderful things you do and how you have business meet your creative side. So, how did you first, find your interest in fashion and beauty, and how did your venture begin, and all of that?
With fashion, I mean, just with fashion and beauty, just like any girl, it's always been like something that I loved. Mainly fashion though, that was my thing. I went to FITM, studied design.
Awesome.
While I was in school, I was working full time. And I was working for Zara, and that was when Zara was kind of just like expanding in the West Coast.
Right.
So I kind of helped with their expansions and stuff.
Amazing.
And then once I graduated, I went into visuals. So didn't really do design. I ended up getting a corporate job for Zara and ended up doing all their West Coast window displays.
Wow.
Which to like anyone, when you talk about that, people think like that's a dream job. It's corporate job. You finally got, I was traveling, I was doing all this stuff with it. But I mean, it was fun, but I always kind of felt like something was missing. You always think about like, okay, what's next? Or is this something that I could do long term?
Yeah.
And I had a blog, but it was just something that I did for fun on the side. And then back then, everything was through a website, so it wasn't really through social media. It was, you have your website, you post things on Tumblr, you share photos like that. So once social media kind of got to its peak, or I saw that these girls who are into the same thing that I'm into are able to like work with different brands.
You're like perfect.
This is perfect. I mean, to me it was like, well, I'm seeing all these girls who share the same interests as I do, and they're able to have these opportunities that I never thought anyone can have unless like you actually work for a brand, but they're able to work with different brands and do all this stuff with them. So I sort of polished up my blog and thought about, okay, how can I make this something that I can eventually do long term and make it my livelihood?
Right, and it's worked out perfectly.
Yeah, and for the first, I mean, I've been doing this for a little over 4 years now. In the first 2 years, it was a lot of, still having a full-time job and doing this on the side and creating content on weekends.
Tough, yes.
So like creating enough content that, I can post throughout the week and people think that I'm doing this throughout the week, but I'm really, I have a 9 to 5 like everyone else.
Yeah.
To the point where I got comfortable enough where, I can concentrate on it full time and make it my job.
Make it your thing.
Pretty much.
And actually you mentioned content, so that's perfect because I wanted to ask you about that. My friends and I are always wondering, how do bloggers come up with daily content? It must be challenging. So I'm assuming that this is a pre-planned thing and you set out to discover new places and products to feature. So tell me a little bit about that.
With that, I mean, I get a lot of people always tell me, you're always in a different outfit every day, and you're always like, I feel like all you do is just take pictures every day and post it. And I wish that was all I was doing. Yeah, exactly. And I understand why people might think that because, I am posting a different outfit every day, but I would say maybe 90% of the content is pre-planned. Another 10% is something that's more in, I guess, in the spur of the moment and
Right.
real time, and something that's a little bit more relatable with someone.
Right.
Why pre-plan is because a lot of the campaigns that I do with brands, everything needs to be pre-approved before it goes live.
Right.
So a brand has to approve it before anything's posted. So I can't just,
On the fly, do
yeah,
something.
and everything has to be organized. So when I'm working with a brand and I'm doing a campaign, they give me the theme of what they're looking for, and it's up to me to create that for them. So whether it's location, I put the outfits together. So they send me a line sheet, and I'm the one who puts the outfits together.
That's awesome. See, I didn't know that. And a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So again, based on what they're trying to sell for that season, I guess, or what they're trying to promote. So they'll
Right.
send me a line sheet. I put the outfits together. I style everything. They give me the theme, and it's up to me to scout the location, put everything together, shoot the content, edit the content, send it to them, and they have to obviously approve it before anything is posted or
Right.
gone live. So that's what we're doing majority of the time. And a lot of times when I'm posting something, if I post something tomorrow, that was probably shot 2 weeks ago.
Right.
And that's something that people don't understand. But of
Yeah.
course, like, you really don't understand how it all works until you're kind of.
But that's
in
the
this
magic
doing
of it. That's the
Yeah.
magic of it. And it's okay for your followers not to completely understand all the work
Yeah.
that goes into it. But that's why you're on this show, so you can explain it to
Yeah,
them.
of course.
And so we're talking about, brands. And first of all, you rewind a little bit, because I have to mention that I love your posts and your creativity and how you set up everything. And
Thank you.
yeah, it's so cute. I love it. Very creative.
Thank you.
So about the brands,
Yeah.
Are you picky about the brands that you represent on your platform? Are there ones that you gravitate to more than others?
Yes. So one thing I think everyone needs to realize, especially if this is something that you want to get into, is you need to understand that you yourself, you're also your brand.
Right.
So the type of companies that you choose to work with are also a reflection of who you are.
Absolutely.
So that's why I'm very picky with the type of companies that I choose to work with. It needs to be, whether it's fashion or beauty, they need to be brands that are aligned with who I am.
Exactly.
And
your values, your beliefs, everything. Yeah.
And I've been doing this for a while now, where I know also what my followers like. So if I know that, this is something that no one's really gonna like anyway, or even if I don't like it, I don't want to push someone to buy a product that I don't like, that I haven't
Right.
tried myself, that I don't believe in. So if I know that this is something that people would like, then yeah, definitely 100%. But if I've tried it myself, because with a lot of beauty stuff, you try it yourself to actually see if it works.
Yeah.
If I don't feel like this is something that is not going to work, then I try to, stay true
Steer
to
away.
myself
Yeah.
and
And steer away from it.
at least choose products that I know people are going to like as well.
Yeah. And I'm always like private messaging you and asking you tips. I love it.
No, I love it. I get that all the time too, and
Yeah.
I honestly, I like when people do that, because I feel like I'm doing something right.
Absolutely. That means they're engaged and you're
Yeah.
so responsive and sweet about it. So I love it. Yeah.
And I love that, like, especially with, I guess, bloggers and influencers, we are regular people. So, when you see a celebrity posting something, you know that they're most likely pushing an ad. So it's
Right.
just an advertisement, it's a commercial.
Yeah.
But with us, we're like regular people like anyone
Right.
else, and these are actually products that I've tried and that I like. And a lot of times when I'm sharing things on my stories, I'm not even working with the company. It's actual
Right.
products that
You
I just
actually
love.
like it.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, I have a lot more to chat with you about. You're watching the Maria Cozette Show, and I'm here with Kris Cherie. You can follow her on IG, Kris, Krischerie. Stay with us. 7Q Spa Laser and Aesthetic Center has opened its doors to their new location in Glendale, a luxurious space offering cutting-edge technologies, including laser hair removal for men and women, all injectables and fillers, Botox, Restylane, Kybella, Juvederm Ultra Plus, and all other variations, PDO Thread Lift, PRP facial with mesotherapy and microneedling. Visit their new location, 7Q Spa Laser and Aesthetic Center. Hey everyone, you're back with the Maria Cozette Show, and I'm here with my lovely guest, Kris Cherie. So I've loved our interview so far. I've actually learned a lot from you. Awesome. So that's good for me as a female. And so let's talk about how your business acumen, being an entrepreneur, building your brand, how has that nurtured your creative side?
That, it's funny. I've never seen before all this, I never saw myself as the type to be an entrepreneur. I was very set on having a 9-to-5, working for someone, being on someone's salary, I guess just being comfortable.
Right.
And I've just always been a creative person. So the fact that like, okay, how do I mix the two together? Be an entrepreneur, be very business-minded, also be creative was terrifying. But it got to a point where it was like, okay, I know this is what I want to do, and my goal is to do this full time. So I had to strategically put myself in a position to see like, okay, what can I do to be able to do this long term?
Right.
And in the beginning, it was a lot of trial and error, and it was trying things to see what worked. Maybe I'm doing something, but people are not reacting the same way. So that was me. Okay, this is my creative side. This is me doing something, and then the whole business side to see like what's actually working and what's not.
Right.
And in the beginning, I had mentioned earlier, for 2 years I did this part time while I had a full time job.
Yeah.
So when I made all the mistakes, it was good to make them in the beginning, and I still make mistakes, but it was good to have, I guess, something behind me where even if I make a mistake in this, this is not my livelihood completely. I still have something keeping me going until I can figure out what works and what doesn't. So I think that's what it was, and then now I'm comfortable to the point where I know what actually works and what doesn't. And
you've done it very well.
And I apply it.
Yeah, absolutely. Entrepreneurship is all about taking risks. So, yeah. Okay. So let's talk about, what posts do you find work best? Which ones, create the most traffic between your platforms, or, which ones are people more attracted to, maybe comment more, like more, whatever the case may be? Beauty, really?
Yeah. It's funny. People just love watching you, like how to put on makeup, what products you use, like even just to see like the end result of like how did you do this. People just love it. I don't know.
So you'd say your beauty posts as opposed to the fashion posts?
Yeah, beauty does a lot more better.
Probably because we have to do so much as women when it comes to beauty, as far as makeup, the right facial, skincare, everything,
It's funny, I used to always say, I don't know how many girls I can watch doing a makeup tutorial, but I'm one of those people who just get hooked. I sit down and I can't stop watching. So I think it just applies to everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Interesting. Okay, good to know. And I mean, you've created such a strong platform, so it's really interesting to people, even as a marketer or anybody, in that type of realm. It's interesting for them to know what type of posts work best for you, Yeah. So where do you see yourself 5 years from now? What are your aspirations?
When I started this, like I mentioned, I did design, so I've always wanted to have my own line, and hopefully I eventually will. I'm hoping that I can actually at least do a capsule collection with one of the brands that I work with.
Awesome.
So that's a goal. Or eventually having my own line, and I feel like having that following and people knowing like what I like and what I do, you build that relationship with people, so people trust you more and will like your products a lot more. But I'm also really involved in the Armenian community. I think I always share stuff, so I also want to still continue to do that and raise awareness for certain issues that I really care about. And one of my big time goals, and I don't know how this would be possible, but something that I want to do is...
Nothing is impossible.
Thank you. I want production to come out of Armenia.
That would be amazing.
So if I can, if it's, eventually my own line or whatever it is,
right.
I think not having it made anywhere else, but having it come out of Armenia to create jobs or, like, why not?
Yeah, there's so much amazing talent to cultivate from Armenia, especially right now. The youth, especially, they're so awake and, Yeah, very talented. Yeah, that would be great.
That's a goal.
And I have noticed that you do utilize your platform to, to raise awareness, whether it's about the genocide or other issues that speak to you. And so with that said, I have noticed, and I admire you for that, for keeping your content very PG. I guess that would be the word for it. So why do you think it's important to utilize your platform to be a good role model for younger girls?
This sort of goes back to my answer with why I choose the brands that I work with. Again, it's, the type of content that I'm putting out is representing who I am as a person.
Right.
So I'm going to put out content that whatever I put out is what I'm going to attract. So, I'm very Parisian, or like that's just who I am. I'm not trying to be anyone else. Like the type of content that I put out is really just
very
who I am.
authentic. Yes.
So that's really just me being me. It's not even me trying to be someone. And I'm very editorial and high fashion, and those are the type of companies that I want to work with. So I try to stay in that field, I guess.
Right.
And in terms of being a good role model, I think with social media right now, it's a blessing and it's a curse. And it's a curse because I think a lot of young girls look at, what everyone's posting, and they constantly want to compare themselves and be like that. So I always try to basically tell girls, because I always get a lot of girls from Armenia will DM me, and it's so sweet because they're always trying to ask, what to do and all that stuff. But I think the bigger message is them understanding that they can do anything just by being themselves, and they don't have to compare themselves to someone else or try to be like someone. They can, they can do anything their own way, and they don't necessarily have to they don't have to look that way, or they don't have to dress that way. You can make something out of yourself.
Right. Have your own interpretation of it. Absolutely. Yeah. And so I must ask you the question I ask all my guests. Why is it important to have a creative outlet?
For me, my creative outlet, it's important for me because it allows me to be, someone that I never thought I could be. Again, like I've never been the entrepreneur type. So the fact that I've always been creative, and the fact that I kind of made this something that I can do long term and enjoy.
Right. What a blessing.
So that's why it's important to me. But I think for anyone else, it just gives you a purpose, I guess. If you have a full-time job, if it's an office setting or whatever it is, I think having a creative outlet is a form of escape for some people.
Yes.
So it really just depends on like what you're doing.
Yeah, and you're actually a very unique guest of mine, I must say, because generally speaking, people come here that have business acumen or are in the administrative realm, or even like healthcare, whatever the case may be, but they have a creative outlet. But you're blessed enough to have made your creative outlet your thing, and be an entrepreneur and pursue that fully. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I loved it. And so stay with us. And of course, once again, follow Kris Cherie if you're not already doing so, which I'm sure you are, especially all the young bright-eyed ladies, at KrisCherie. Stay with us. The Art of Giving, where we spotlight a charitable organization. And I'm especially proud to spotlight this one because I had a chance to work with them this past trip to Armenia. Together for Armenia brings together professionals from all around the world to invest the greatest asset we have, knowledge. Armenia, especially with its recent revolution, has flourished in so many ways. There is a greater demand for advancement, a need for growth, and endless opportunities. In fact, in my recent visit, I discovered an entirely new country, so different from what I had witnessed before, and I'm so happy to see that change. The main driving factor, happy to say, was its youth, many of which work with the organization. Together for Armenia is a free intellectual volunteering web platform that is bridging the gap between local initiatives with immense potential and professionals from every corner of the world are getting involved. The project was launched in 2016 by the shared vision of UNICEF in Armenia and AGBU with the support of the European Union. It has hosted more than 50 experts and approximately 80 workshops in the communities of Armenia, benefiting more than 2,000 Armenian citizens thus far. Today, we spotlight Alanush Terian, who was an Iranian-Armenian astronomer and physicist. She is called the mother of modern Iranian astronomy. She graduated from the University of Tehran and went on to become the chief of laboratory operations in the same year. Despite objections from men stating that there was a limit for women to study extensively, Terian ventured out to France to continue her education, where she obtained her doctorate in atmospheric physics. She returned to Iran and became the professor of thermodynamics, and in 1964 became the first female professor of physics in Iran. She was one of the founders of the Solar Observatory and was tasked with leading the Solar Physics Research Group at Tehran University. Terian retired after teaching for 30 years and dedicated her house to accommodating the Armenian students in Julfa who did not have proper housing. That's a wrap. Thanks for tuning in. Much love to my guest today, Kris Cherie, entrepreneur and fashion and beauty blogger. To find out more about our show and just to reach out to me, why not? Email info@mariacozette.com. Now, in the true meaning of fashion, I'll strike a pose. Goodbye.